All right, 390 Wagon Master here. Another project. I'm just finishing up, and this is really cool. This is an old Craig power supply that Darren gave me back in about 2020. And I originally, when I brought it home, it was having problems, and I changed a rectifier diode in it, and it still was having problems. And long story short, it started blowing fuses, and I just said the hell with it. I'm going to come back to this project. I'm back. One of the cool things about this power supply was the look. It had this beautiful illuminated square push button switch here, and it was so cool. It's got wood grain sides and plywood wood grain sides. It was just so cool looking. So I thought, well, I'm going to do something with this later. So we're back. And what I did was I ordered, when I did that President McKinley base type setup, I ordered a couple of these power supplies, these little 5 amp power supplies. And I don't have any information on there. There was no ID tags. The only thing I saw on here was the Craig logo, some stickers down here that tell you don't, get into here, authorized personnel only, non-user serviceable. It's funny though, because the decals are on the inside, but whatever. So anyway, but I like the look of it. So I put in another one of these little 5 amp switching power supplies. I got a little bit of cleanup here to do, but I'm just firing it up for the first time here, so we're going to do this together. It had a non-polarized 2-prong cord on it. So I have a strain relief on here. That had the pinch strain relief, which isn't going to work with this cord anyway, and a 3-prong power outlet. Anyway, nice posts back here. These things are solid. I really like them. I can't find out any information on this. I've spent many hours, probably 8 hours looking for any information on this. I'm going to assume this was only a 1 or 2 amp power supply by the size of the transformer and the innards in it. I wish I saved all that stuff. I did not. Anyway, I've looked through as much Craig information as I could, 8-track tape, underdash cassette power supplies, all sorts of stuff. I looked in JCPenney catalogs, Sears catalogs, even Radio Shack catalogs from like the early to mid 70s. And you're like, Wagon Master, why would you look through a Radio Shack catalog? Because, they did stuff with Allied. And here's the deal. I found this. This was kind of cool. The cool little push button switch in here is an Archer. And I looked up that catalog number to see if I could find a date. And I got close. But I was going to order another one. This was, by the way, this was the fault. This was what was wrong, I believe, with the power supply. This kept shorting out. And it would work, and then you would cycle it a few times, and it would short out and wipe out the fuse and everything. And I'm sure that's what took out the old power supply. It looked like somebody put in I think I pulled like a 3 amp fuse out of that. Whatever was in here. And anyway, it got hot. So I went over to Standard Supply in Salt Lake. Standard Supply is like a Radio Shack on steroids. It's like what Radio Shack would have wanted to be back in the day. Robert over at Standard Supply, formerly known as Railco. Railco is a local staple here in Salt Lake City, just unbelievable. So anyway, I went down there to see if he had any period correct looking switches, and he did, with a nice positive feel to it. This is a rugged switch. So I'm using I'm using one of those 5 amp power supplies. These pecker out at around 4 amps, 4.2 or something like that. It's fused, and we're ready to go. I blew a complete afternoon. I probably blew 4 to 6 hours trying to source something like this. Now, there was a guy on eBay selling these, but he wants like $13.98 and $8.50 shipping from California. I'm like, no, forget it. And the more I was thinking about it too, it's kind of a light duty switch anyway, and it didn't really have a good feel to it. So I'm like, you know, I'm not going to blow 20 something bucks. This thing's not even worth that. So I decided to go this route. And I have to have a pilot light. I was not going to put a pilot light in, but I have to have a pilot light because I'll forget and I'll space out. Because this switch doesn't like sit indented more whether it's on or off. It doesn't really do that. So anyway, we're going to fire this puppy up and see what happens. I'm going to put this camera on a tripod. All right, so I've got her plugged in to a non-grounded extension cord, of course. So here's what I've got. I've got my little pilot LED. That's going to go in that hole, which is, by the way, centered into the face here. And I sanded this down because it's a super bright blue LED, and I kind of wanted to tame it down a bit. Not really the brightness, but I wanted to diffuse the light. So as you can see, so I've got like a handful of leftover. These are probably like 10-year-old 3300 microfarad Nichicon caps. So I just threw one of those in there just for shits and giggles. It is fused on the hot side, black side, and upgraded wire, of course, as you can see, way overdone. So let's fire it up and see what happens. So I was always told never do anything with two hands, right? So I'm gonna, just never. I'm into that habit. So I'm gonna fire that up with one. There we go. Cool. 13.74. I set the voltage before I even started putting this thing together. There was no sense in mounting all this up and doing all this and then not testing the power supply. So I always test these first. You never know. And there's that. And see how that's diffused? That's the way I want it. I don't like it. These are nice LEDs. They're just super, super, super bright and annoying. Anyway, I really hated drilling a hole in this beautiful face of this thing, but there we go. So it'll take a while to die down. That cap's gonna take a few seconds to die down. There we go. The meter's sucking it down too. So anyway, there we go. So that's that. Let's unplug it. There we go. And let me take the camera out of the little tripod thingy, and then we'll just take a little tour here real quick. So Redneck Engineering here. So on the last power supply upgrade that I did, when I put that little 3-amp power supply in that Redco box, I mounted it sideways, and it's just driving me nuts. I'm OCD with that. So I dog-eared it, I use the OEM mounts here. So I've got a mount here that's threaded in. And then I just took some sheet metal and fabricated a mount down there and dog-eared that corner down there. Just built a little clamp here. Again, just some tin snips and sheet metal. And held that little capacitator down. It's not really even necessary, but I got it. Might as well use them. I got them. And yeah, that's that. And of course the fuse, and that's a 1-amp fuse soldered in there. All right, let's put this thing together. All right, so there it is. I could probably dust that off, but yeah. It's a pretty cool looking little power supply. Apparently I was off on that for some reason. About a, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. It just doesn't look right to me. But I swear I measured twice and drilled once. But anyway, that's pretty cool. She's good looking. I dig the wood sides. That's pretty cool. So just for giggles, I clear coated those. But anyway, that's the bugger right there. She looks pretty cool. Let's see here again. Just check it all again. 13.74. Yeah, that's as high as those go. But yeah, pretty cool. I'll just clean it up. I'll hit this with some Magnolia. I think that'd probably perk it up a little bit. But that's pretty darn cool, man. What am I going to do with another power supply? I couldn't tell you. That's driving me nuts now that I know that. That should be over about right there. Yeah, biscuits. Anyway, pretty cool. Hello, 1974-ish. That's my guess. And then this is what I'm talking about on this bottom piece here. Apparently this was bought at a yard sale or something. But just warning, electronics inside, don't get in there. And that was basically it. This is something that Pioneer and Craig would do. I even looked in some Pioneer literature just to see if I could find anything like this. And nothing. But I just didn't want to see this cool as crap old enclosure go to waste. You know, so just reuse your enclosures, guys. If you have an old power supply that's TU, just do that. And this is the way it all came. Up here, I'm assuming this was for some sort of a component system or something. There was never another back plate on here or anything. You can tell there was nothing there. So I'm not really sure what all this was about. But yeah, pretty cool. All right, leave questions or comments down below. You guys tell me what you think. Pretty cool. I'm a happy pup. That looks nice. This would be great for running a little AM rig or something like that, or some sort of a little monitor or something. But yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Mellowed that LED out so it doesn't, diffuse that light so it's not so annoying. You can look at that like straight on and it doesn't blow you away. So pretty cool. All right, leave questions or comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to take you guys through a tour. I'm going to take you guys for a tour through Standard Supply one day. That place is awesome. They have stuff like this. I buy all sorts of stuff down there. It's great. That's a great place to go. 3400 South Main Street in Salt Lake City. Tell them Wagon Master sent you.